So that truth, justice, excellence in barbecue, and American way of life may be strengthened and preserved forever. Amen, folks. Have a lot of fun today.
Hi, this is Eric Newton. I'm with Curly Tails Barbecue, and my brother-in-law, Anthony Sutton, he's the other half of Curly Tails, along with my sister and my wife, of course. But I guess the way it all started was my wife's dad, who is from South Georgia, was the cook in the family, and he was cooking Boston butts, he was cooking ribs, he was cooking hams, all this stuff, and it intrigued us to the point to where we were cooking with him, you know, and it was like a I'm trying to figure out the word for it, but you was always chasing to be as good as he was. So we were doing it in our backyard. We spent monies on smokers. We spent money trying to learn the craft. And after it was all said and done, we decided to enter a backyard competition. We done that for about a year and a half. Decided, you know what, if we're gonna compete, we may as well compete pro. That way the payout would be worth our while. Buy gas money anyway, that's correct. So we've done that. We've competed, I think, in 11 pro tournaments. We've got calls in 10 of them. Never expected that. You know, it was all a fun thing for us. You know, we never expected to be competing with the people that are here. That's for sure.
Good cooks here?
Oh my goodness, everybody here is a good cook. I could start naming, but I'd name all 30 teams that were here. You know, and it's the way it is. If we get our name called, we're happy. You know, of course we want a grand championship. That's why we're here. But just to hear your name will keep you back at the next one. And you know, it all goes back to my wife's dad, my father-in-law, who put the desire there to start cooking barbecue and start smoke. We didn't know how to cook with smoke. You know, we would grill something, but we didn't, or gas, right? But we didn't know the art of cooking with charcoal or cooking with wood. And you know, once we started tasting the flavors that would come out of the stuff that he was cooking, you know, even if it was just salt and pepper, it was good because it come off of his smoker.
Oh, it's the equipment.
Reach across and get a Q-tip there.
Sure.
Sorry.
Not my way. I have my scissors too. Speak to me. Speak to me, cameraman. What? You're doing great. The other way.
It's that intense moment when people put stuff in the box.
That's one up there.
I'm not gonna show it. It's all that concentration.
If we need to twist any around or anything, let me know now.
Not that one there.
Okay. See a better one? This one?
Maybe this one looks pretty square.
Once it's out, it's not usable.
All right, on this plate, the second piece of chicken was my favorite. Nice sweetness, very well cooked, nice bite through skin. For me, it's just about everything I'm looking for in a piece of chicken. Number 3 was actually very similar, maybe not quite as flavorful. The fourth piece of chicken was tough to eat. I couldn't bite through the skin, had almost somewhat of an acidic taste. And then the last piece of chicken was very good too, but I found the skin to be just a little tough.
The first piece of chicken was a good piece of chicken. It had a real good flavor. I like the sauce and the tenderness of piece number 2. Piece number 3 had a little different flavor to it that I'm not sure exactly how to say it. Huh? It was good. Yes, it was good. It was just a different flavor. Piece number 4 had a real strong charcoaly flavor to it, and it just wasn't a very good piece of chicken at all. And piece number 5 had real good flavor, except it had quite a bit of heat at the end of it.
Okay, piece number 1 was my favorite. I thought it had good sauce. It was moist. It was tender. Piece number 2, the glaze on it was a little bit sweet and sticky for me. I didn't particularly care for that. Piece number 3 I thought was real good. Had a real good glaze on it. I liked the taste. It was an odd taste, he's right, but it was a good taste. Piece number 4 was not a good piece of chicken. It had a big glob of fat in the skin where I tried to bite, and I didn't like that. And piece number 5 was another good piece. I liked the, I could bite through the skin on it. It was almost to the point to where it was crispy, and I enjoyed that one.
Overall, 4 of the 5 entries I thought were pretty good. As a cook, that's what I'm looking for, is nice bite through skin, tender for the most part, flavorful. Entry number 4 had a little problem, had an off taste, couldn't tell what it was, and tenderness was way off. but the other 4 I enjoyed and scored them very high.
I feel the same way. 4 of the 5 entries were at least rated 8 or higher. I thought number 2 was my favorite. I thought from a tenderness, it was perfectly cooked. It was moist. It had a very, very nice flavor to it. It had kind of a sweet overtones that didn't cover up the taste of the meat at all. I think I agree with everybody else. Number 4 was not very well cooked. There was almost like a chemical taste to it. Maybe they must have used maybe green wood. The skin was kind of rubbery, but overall 4 of the 5 were pretty good. I thought that's a pretty good presentation overall.
Number 2 was my favorite. The taste and tenderness was just about perfect for the chicken. There was a couple that were good, but not quite near as good as number 2. Number 4 was not appealing in appearance or taste at all. It was the least favorite of the 5 entries today.
Overall, it's pretty good ribs. The first one was my favorite. It was very good taste and pretty good tenderness. Second one was also good taste, but just a little bit dry. Third one was a little bit tough, but not bad. Probably least favorite was number 4. Overall, it was a little bit of dry across the board, but I'm not sure if that was just conditions and weather, but it was all pretty good ribs.
I also like number 1 and number 2. Flavor of number 2 was outstanding, just a tad overdone. 3 and 4 both underdone and not that great a flavor. My favorite was number 5. It didn't look so great, but it tasted fantastic.
I too like number 5. Had a good flavor of the meat, and it was moist as well, and I thought it presented very well. My least favorite was number 2. It was overcooked, and there wasn't any flavor to the meat.
Number 5, I thought was dry and a little tough. Number 4 was my favorite. I thought it was juicy, tender, delicious. The others were good. That's it.
Number 1 was my favorite. I found it to be the most flavorful. Tenderness was good. Number 3 I found to be rather dry, and the flavor just wasn't where I needed it to be.
Actually, for me, number 1 also I thought had great flavor through and through, not just the sauce. The meat also had great flavor. And number 4, I thought, at least the piece I had, the rib itself was a little bit fatty and chewy. And but overall, pretty good round of ribs.
Thank you very much.
Do we want to alternate the bark and non-bark or no?
I think we'll put all the bark together. We'll make that. Any glazes are up there? Yeah. Cool. 6. Oh, yeah.
On the first one, I felt like mine was just a little bit undercooked, and I also felt like it didn't have as much flavor as I would like to see. The second one, the presentation was beautiful, and I love the presentation because it was a full box of meat, just completely full box of meat. The taste was okay. I thought it was cooked very well. This third one, the medallion, the money mussel, was very mushy, and that took away from the overall scores. The fourth one that I had, and this is actually number 5, the fourth one that I had, I liked it. I thought it was very well cooked, and it had a hint of smoke, and I liked that. That's what I'm looking for, actually, is that hint of smoke. The fifth one, I loved the taste. It had a sort of an apple taste to it, and I thought it was very good. Didn't have as much smoke as I'd like, but I liked the apple taste. It was very well cooked. I was disappointed, though, that none of them had any of the bark in the meat.
Well, the first was the best of the batch for consistency. It was cooked well, texture was correct. However, no bark, not a whole lot of flavor. The second and third both had nice flavor. The third especially was a little overdone. The pork was mushy. The fourth was good. It had the best pulled in the box. The medallion was okay. And the fifth was the best flavor. However, my medallion was a little mushy, but of the 5, it was my favorite.
Okay, number 1, I have to agree with everybody else. It's no flavor to it much, more like Mama's pot roast. No barbecue flavor at all. Number 2 was pretty good. 3, yes, it was mushy also. 4 was not too bad, and number 5 I think was also the best one I had, and everything was really good with it.
Rather than repeat everything everybody else has said, I'd like to emphasize how good box 2 looked, being completely packed with meat. There was no green in the box. There was no room for any green in the box. It was a heavy box, and we enjoyed having that come across the table. My personal favorite on the plate was number 4. I thought it was cooked well, and it had a hint of smoke, and there was something else interesting and unusual in the flavor profile that landed well with me.
Number 1 definitely needed to have some smoke flavor or some meat flavor or something going on. Number 2 was honestly one of the best boxes I've ever had, not just because of the appearance, which was fantastic, but every single piece of meat that I pulled out of there was beautifully cooked, so tender, so moist, not mushy, great smoke flavor, great pork flavor, truly some of the best pork I've ever judged. Number 3 was a little bit on the dry side, but had great smoke flavor. Number 4, good smoke flavor. The piece that I got was a little bit dry, and it was also over-salted for me. Number 5, I enjoyed the pineapple juice or whatever was in there, so the flavor was good. I didn't get a lot of smoke, and I also felt like that was overcooked and dry.
Hey, bbqtv. I think I'm very close to what the other judges said. I'd just like to point out that 2 and 3, they had, I think, a great tenderness to me and a good flavor. Just I couldn't taste the flavor throughout the meat. Sometimes I would hit bland parts. On the 4th one, I think there was some tougher parts, but then some tender parts of the meat. But I did enjoy the smoke flavor in there. And number 5, I think, had great flavor. I also tasted apple in it as well. Some of the pulled parts came out a little dry, but I really did enjoy that flavor.
Nice. What? Nice. Parsley, any good?
Can you get me a box?
high, so I'll just use a good side of it. This is the first time we've ever done this before.
Bumping into each other?
Built brisket boxes.
It's the first time we built a brisket box?
I just kidding.
Yeah, I bet. And those flying pigs will be flying over here.
Yeah, for sure. These onions are hot.
Aren't they supposed to be?
Yes.
Category is beef. Last category was beef brisket. Number one actually looked like corned beef. However, did have a lot of the smoke ring. Never seen it cornered like that. Number two was a nice beef flavor, brisket, beautiful burn ends on it. Number three was actually, to me, terrific, tender as can be. Had to be Wagyu beef. To me, my favorite, all nines. Number four was very well done. Five was a nice mixture of the burn ends, the actual beef brisket along with the shredded. Wasn't as good as number three, but today was actually a great amount of brisket.
I thought number one was pretty good, but number three was my favorite. It had a real good taste. I think it was Wagyu, and I really enjoyed that.
Oh, five.
Which one was your favorite, least favorite one?
Five was my favorite. One was my least favorite. One was very salty. It just had a lot of salt in it. Five was tender, had a good flavor to it. It wasn't overcooked. It was